What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 11 of the RUDIS Wrestling Podcast. Matt, happy Thanksgiving. And Matt, can we pull the curtain back just a little bit for people?
Sure.
You and I are not actually on Thanksgiving right now. We're a day before. We obviously are both going to enjoy Thanksgiving with our families, so you guys don't have to. You don't have to feel too bad for us. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay, good.
But yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy
Hope
Thanksgiving.
Things are well.
What
Yeah.
you want to say you're thankful for anything, or we should do that off the air?
No, I save those things off the
Okay,
air.
cool.
I don't get
Last
into
year
that.
I did one. I think I did one where I was thankful for certain guys that I enjoyed watching wrestling. So like a Jason Nolf, who's creative, inventive, like a Spencer Lee. I'm thankful for those guys. We actually talked about that a lot on our last episode. How the rate of bonus has just went up, and people are so aggressive. And for me, it's just so much fun to watch these guys compete and execute skills. So I'm really thankful for that. And so I won't get any more sappy than that. But hopefully everybody.
And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm going to be thankful here in a couple months to see you start beating people up in the UFC. I'm going to be thankful to watch that.
Well, should I be? I guess you know what? I wasn't really that excited to start training again, but it's been fun. I got all my stuff here, and Matt, I was actually looking. I'm scoping out. I'm still waiting for those. You guys are really holding them back to Black Friday. I'm waiting for those World Championship Snyders to come out. But, I saw you guys had this new duffel bag backpack type thing. And I really like the one backpack. I don't know the names of all of them. I like the one sleek backpack I have. It has an AWA logo on it. It's nice for my computer and my books and small travels, but I can't fit all my fighting gear in here. So I'm going to send you an email, and hopefully you can shoot me out one of those duffel bag backpacks they have. That looks like I can pack all my stuff in it.
Oh, I haven't sent one of those to you yet? I absolutely have to get that to you.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, so our backpacks, obviously everybody loves our backpacks, especially our original one, our Genesis backpack. And a lot of people, they're creatures of habit. So they're like, this is an unbelievable bag. The first backpack we came out with, the Genesis.
Yeah,
everybody
all
loves it
love
to this day. But now we actually have 6 other backpacks. And they're all unique. They all offer a different variety of features, but we recently came out with this duffel backpack that actually converts from a backpack to a duffel bag.
Yeah.
And it's got about double the space of a lot of ours. It's got a bunch of different compartments, and it's actually really good for multi-day trips. A lot of times, when you're going up to a tournament on the weekend and you're trying to stuff everything into a small compartment over a short period of time, it's like now you start intermixing your clean stuff with your sweaty stuff. And the cool thing about this duffel backpack, it's so big, has several different compartments, and you can actually pack and use it over multiple days. So yeah, I'll get one. Make sure we send one up to you.
Yeah.
After we get off the air.
So I just checked. I went back to the website. I have the vertical gear pack. That's the one that I really like right now.
Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to get hustling, because I had a list of stuff to talk about from last weekend, and I thought we were going to get through it, and then we just started going off on every which tangent, which that if you're to talk to me, that happens. So whatever. But let's get into this wrestling. Okay, Iowa versus Princeton. Obviously, we talked a little bit about bonus point rates. Spencer Lee's the highest up there. And listen, Matt, if you would have asked me if this is possible, I would have said there's no way this is possible. Patrick Glory got tagged, and I was kind of impressed with Patrick Glory. Is that
was the same?
Is that insane?
I was the same way.
What the heck, Spencer Lee? How can you be that good? How can you be that good?
He came out, got that quick high crouch, got that quick turn. I'm like, okay,
wait,
this is going to be over.
No, the way, even off that first high crotch, the way Patrick Glory sat the corner was a thing of beauty. He sits, if you go watch the scramble slow, he gets his knee behind Spencer's butt, which, as far as sitting in the corner is concerned, that's pretty much like you got him beat, And Spencer Lee somehow powers into it and ends up getting the takedown. But it was like right off that first gun, I'm like, damn, Patrick Glory's gonna get him. And then it was like, boom, Spencer's on top. And then boom, Spencer's got the turn. It was crazy.
I don't want to give a backhanded compliment to Patrick Glory, but I truly mean this. Like, that was the most impressive performances while giving up a tech fall that I've ever seen.
Ever.
I mean, he showed some really, really good stuff. And the thing is, like, Spencer Lee's going to do this to almost every guy in the country. But I thought the match was going to be over really quick. After that first takedown, that first series of turns, I'm like, oh, Lee's going to get off the mat in 37 seconds. Sure. And then Glory reversed him. Glory came back and got a takedown too, right?
Yeah. No, I think just a reversal. Or was
okay.
It 18-2. So he just got a takedown.
But there was a close situation where it looked like he could have gotten a takedown, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, regardless, the skill level he showed, to your point, the skill level that he showed in certain situations, I mean, he would have scored on anybody but Spencer Lee in several of those situations.
Yes. Yeah, I agree totally. He would have scored on anyone but Spencer Lee in those situations. And I think, the thing about Spencer is he's just so good with his tilt. I mean, he's just so powerful. He gets those wrists, and it's like there's just nothing you can do about it. And he's going to grab it. He's going to tilt you. And I think, did he score 12 points off tilt? I think it was 3 4-pointers, if my memory serves right.
I believe so.
So
yes.
He's just so good with that it's almost like you give Glory a pass on that. It's almost like, just nothing you can really do there. It's Spencer, you got your wrist. You're done. Sorry, bud. I mean, is that?
Yeah, I mean, you game plan going into the match. Don't go down, right?
Sure.
But I mean, Spencer Lee was so explosive right off the whistle. Like, there wasn't any feeling out process, and sometimes I think maybe that's the transition that you have to make going from high school to college. Even though you've wrestled high level competition your whole life, like you better be ready to go, literally off the whistle. At this level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's, I guess, if you want to say, but Spencer's abnormal. I mean, I think, I don't know if it was in this, it might have been, no, it probably wasn't this podcast, man, because we've only done, this is only our 11th one. So I definitely talked about it on Tommy's pod, when Tommy and I were going together. Like, I don't think, I would love for someone to do a statistical research on this data point, Matt. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in college wrestling, and this includes all the super dominant wrestlers we've had in the past 10 years. We've had a lot of them, who is as sure money to get a takedown and a 4 near fall, obviously, and previously a 3 near fall, a takedown and near fall in the first minute of the match as Spencer Lee is. I mean, the amount of times he gets a takedown and near fall in the first minute is freakishly high. Matt, it's got to be in the 90%. I mean,
it's got to be.
It's so insane how he can get a takedown and a turn in the first minute almost every single time. It's crazy.
So how would you game plan for that? What would you? I mean, if you had an athlete that was stall.
Yeah. I mean, so okay, I'll just tell you, coaching. I got to coach Anthony Robles, and I didn't do much for Anthony. He had one leg. He had a unique feel. He kind of had to figure it out himself, which obviously he did. But, going into Anthony's matches, especially his senior year, right? His junior year, he had a good season, but not a great season. His senior year was where he was super dominant. And it was just like, if you weren't super strong, there was just nothing you could do. If you were one of those long, skinny 125-pounders, you were screwed. There was just, you literally had no chance. I mean, case in point, Matt McDonough in the NCAA finals. Matt is long and lean and not like explosive and super powerful. So like the only guys Anthony had trouble with that year were Ben Kerr and Ryan Mango. And obviously he beat both those guys, but those guys were strong enough and powerful enough to be able to kind of at least hold them off or slow Anthony down. But if you weren't super strong, he was going to grab your wrist and tilt you and tilt you and tilt you and tilt you. And that's kind of how I feel about Spencer. And I don't know that when I look at the 125 rankings, I don't know that there's anyone that really fits that criteria.
And that's the thing about Spencer Lee that's really impressive. Like with Anthony, man, his grip strength and his physical strength, once he grabbed a hold of you, man, you weren't going anywhere. But when you look at Spencer Lee, he doesn't look like the epitome of physical superiority.
He's got to be, but he's got to be. I don't care
right?
what he looks like. That dude's abnormal strength. He's alien strength. I don't care what I don't care what he looks like, man. I'm smarter. You know, actually, one of my coaches, Sean Charles, used to tell me, he said, Ben, when you're watching this international film, because I was competing internationally. So when we watch the international film, some of these dudes are going to look like they suck. And if they're really good and they look like they suck, they're going to be really, really freakishly strong. And I thought that was great advice, because obviously there's a reason he's winning. And Spencer Lee, I worked out with him twice, but I'm so much bigger. You're not going to get an accurate representation. He just has to be alien strong for 125 pounds.
Because guys just look utterly helpless. And that's the thing. Like, it's not like these coaches aren't working on blocking off a wrist or sealing off or not giving up wrist control. Like, obviously these guys are prepped. They know what's coming, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the craziest thing. You know exactly what's coming, and you can't stop it. And he's got to be a freak. So, he is a freak, right?
Yeah, no. Honestly, I made a joke on Twitter. Let me go to my Twitter. I'll Google. I don't want to misrepresent myself. I'll tell you exactly what I said. Okay, so Matt, I got my Twitter post right here, and so Spencer Lee's talking about. He's in his post-match spiel, talking about going 7 minutes. Iowa coach told me that, and I here's what I said. I said Spencer Lee has to stop talking about wrestling 7 minutes, and he needs to start saying, "I'll keep wrestling until the ref tells me my opponent is done," because this dude ain't going 7 minutes this year. Matt, I genuinely don't know, and I follow bonus rates because bonusing was my thing. I don't think there's anyone who's had less than 2 non-bonus point wins. For the whole season, meaning they have either 0 non-bonus, 1 non-bonus, or 2 non-bonus. I think Taylor and Ruther both had seasons where they had 3 matches where they were non-bonus.
So you're saying he's running the table?
I'm not saying guaranteed. I think he can go into that 2, 1, or 0 range, which I don't think anyone's ever done. I kind of think Nolf could too this year.
He's looking like it right now. I mean, right now these guys are looking like they could do it. Like nobody may be able to make it out of the first period with him.
I mean, that could. I mean, Spencer Lee, man, he could just tilt. So I think that's definitely a possibility there. Yeah. So Spencer Lee got to stop talking about wrestling 7 minutes because he ain't wrestling 7 minutes. Let's just say I'm wrestling until the ref pulls me off him. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Or is that that's probably too WWE for him.
Yeah, you would like for him to say it, right? But I don't.
He might as well. It's the truth. That's for sure.
But yeah, I mean, back to Patrick Lorre. I really think this kid's going to have a great year.
I think honestly, listen, when I look at, and I've watched Patrick Lorre before, so this is not my first exposure to him. If you told me Patrick Lorre makes the NCAA finals, I am not like, oh my God, no way, you're on drugs. I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking like, I look at this list, I'm like, if he beats Ronnie Bresser and Nick Piccinini, I'm not totally blown away. I can see it. I would probably pick those Sebastian Rivera, Ronnie Bresser, Nick Piccinini, Sean Russell. I'd probably pick those guys above Patrick Lorre right now. But if you told me Patrick Lorre beats him, I'm not saying, oh my God.
Yeah. So again, I'll say it again. And I'm not trying to slight Patrick Lorre by any sense of the imagination, but that was one of the most impressive tech balls given up that I've ever seen. It was really good.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like I said it to you also, but it's almost funny to hear someone. It's funny to hear someone say that, something you never thought you'd hear someone say, but it's kind of true. So the other big match in this duel was Patrick Lugo, Matt Kolodzik. I guess Kolodzik didn't look overly impressive, and I guess I'll kind of jump to 2 days later. So Matt Kolodzik also wrestled at Wisconsin, and he was kicking the Wisconsin guy's butt, and he got taken down and put on his back in the third period, and then laid on his belly. Remember, I was talking about the Princeton coaches whining. This was another match where Matt Kolodzik laid on his belly the last 45 seconds of the match, and the ref didn't call anything. And so it's like it was, that when they were calling stalling, it was warranted. But Collegiate didn't look great against Cole Martin on Sunday. He didn't look great. He got the win against Patrick Lugo on Friday. He's one of the guys. I think he's probably my top number one ranked wrestler, where I'm thinking, like, if I had to bet against one number one, I think it's him right now.
No, I would agree. But to your point, I would say with Matthew Kolodzik, number one, he's probably one of the most, if not the most intelligent wrestler in D1. Are
you saying that because he goes to Princeton, or why?
Well, that's the obvious reason, but he is. I mean, he's very meticulous, and he's very meticulous in his approach to how he wrestles. He's very calculated. The one thing you better be ready for, and I was surprised that we didn't see this out of Lugo. Like, Kolodzik's MO is like 30 seconds or less in a period. He's going to score. He's going to come after you. And that's what he does, and that's what he did in the first period against Lugo. I'm like, I was watching it with my wife. I'm like, here you go. Here it comes. Here it comes. Kolodzik's going to go. And sure enough, he went and he scored within 30 seconds left of the third period. And I think he almost did the same thing. He replicated that in the second period. But yeah, he is very methodical. He is very intelligent. He manages match strategy as well as anybody in the country. But of the number one ranked guys, I would agree he's probably the one most susceptible to being knocked off. Because I think the guys right beneath him, I think Micah Jordan, I think arguably,
Anthony Ashton, Grant Leith also,
and all those three guys. Those three guys are very, very talented. I was wondering, after seeing his performance against Wisconsin and him kind of bellying out, is he acclimating up to the weight class? I think a lot of times when we see guys that drop weight class, we're like, he's getting acclimated down to a weight class, but sometimes there is a period of adjustment carrying a little added weight and a little extra size, especially in competition, that you kind of need several weigh-ins and several competitions to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He just looked like he wasn't in shape that much. I mean, that's how it looked to me. Obviously, he's muscular, but he's always been muscular. I mean, I don't think that's anything new to him. And I wouldn't guess he's that much bigger right now than he was at 141. He's probably just not cutting as much weight. That would be my guess. So he's gonna have to figure out a way to get in better shape, because I think against a Leith or against Ashnault or Micah Jordan, he's definitely going to need to be in better shape to beat those guys when it counts in March. And hey, if he's as smart as you say he is, and I don't know what his ACT score is, Matt, maybe you do, he's gonna need to get in a little better shape.
Well, I know Matthew on a personal level. He's from here in Ohio.
He is.
Yeah, a lot of people think he's from New Jersey. He went to Blair. He's actually from Ohio.
Wait, he did go to Blair though, correct?
He did go to Blair.
Okay.
After his freshman year, I believe. This is a little good sidebar. He and his brother Matthew actually went.
You said his brother Matthew.
Matthew, his brother Matthew Kolodzik, who also wrestled at Princeton. They wrestled.
Wait, what's his name? No,
Daniel. Daniel. Sorry, Daniel. Yeah,
brother Daniel.
Daniel's the older brother. So they wrestled at a small school in Ohio who actually didn't sanction wrestling.
Which school?
And
wait, there's a school in Ohio that doesn't sanction wrestling?
Yeah, it was a small private school, and they were the only they didn't wrestle together in high school, so they were the only member of the wrestling team, and they represented their school as one team members at the state championship. Yep. So a lot of times what Daniel and Matthew did, they would actually train a lot with St. Paris Graham during high school.
Can you do that? And that's legal?
Yeah, if you don't have a sanctioned high school program. So what Daniel and Matthew would do, they would rotate around. They would train several days a week, I think 2 or 3 days a week with Graham, and then go to like Troy Christian or some neighboring high schools.
Why wouldn't they just went to Graham?
I think because the quality of education at this private school. Yeah, both. This is a whole sidebar. Both the parents are doctors. They're very intelligent, and obviously with Daniel and Matthew. So I guess I knew a little bit more than saying just because he goes to Princeton, he's automatically
that's fair
intelligent. He has, but I know the family, and Matthew's very, very intelligent. So
yeah, okay. Well, I think that's fair. If you're telling me that, I believe it. So any other takeaways from Iowa versus Princeton? I think those were the two marquee matches. Obviously, we're still not seeing Jake Warner. We would like to see Jake Warner, Patrick Brucke. Those guys wrestled in Illinois in high school. Brucke's ranked number 7 or 6 right now. That would have been really nice to see what what Warner's got at that level. But I think any other takeaways from that match?
No, I think just a compliment to Chris Ayres in Princeton.
They got a good team.
I saw a lot of comments out there like, hey, where did these guys come from? I tell you what, Chris Ayres has done a heck of a job in the last decade building the program up to where it's on the precipice of starting to challenge Cornell for the Ivy League title. And so, yeah, I mean, my takeaway is like, I wasn't surprised. I know what Coach Ayres has done at Princeton. I know he's done a phenomenal job in the last decade plus building up that program. So I actually thought it was going to be a competitive match, and it was. So yeah, excited to see what Princeton's doing, and I believe they'll probably have multiple guys on the podium this year.
For sure. They have a really good team, a lot of tough guys, and obviously with the Ivies. When Cornell's got a little bit of, I don't want to pick on them, they got a little bit of workaround. With Princeton, I don't believe they have that workaround. So obviously the Ivies have no scholarships, they have no redshirting. So there are a lot of difficulties there in building a program. So I agree with you. Nebraska has done a fantastic job of building the program, 100%.
Yep.
So let's move on. Nebraska versus Wisconsin. I caught this one on the Big Ten Network. I thought awesome win for Coach Bono and crew. I thought that Nebraska, and I don't want to pick on Nebraska, but I thought they had a little bit of they look out of shape. They didn't look great at Binghamton either, and they wrestled Wyoming on Sunday, and they didn't look great there either. So I don't know if I want to give Wisconsin a whole bunch of credit, which obviously I do because I'm biased, or ask why is Nebraska struggling? What do you think, Matt?
I don't know. I mean, it's too early. It's too early to say that it's injuries or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, is there a possibility that the coaching staff was with the late nature of the World Championships, that they were maybe more focused on getting Burroughs and Green prepared for the World Championships, and they had less of a focus at that time of the year on the team? You wouldn't think that would be the case because that both Green and Burroughs have been on the world stage for so long that they've got.
That would be a system that's been in place, smooth running machine, right?
But with the World Championships being essentially a month later than normal, I don't know. That's my only thought, is maybe their training was a little bit interrupted based on the World Championships. That's the only thing that I could guess on the surface. Because
obviously Chad Redd struggling. He didn't even wrestle Friday. I heard he wasn't able to make weight. Isaiah White is struggling. He kind of he had a good start against Wick, but then got his butt kicked. He lost to Branson Ashworth on Sunday. I think he dropped a match at the what's the tournament that Frank runs up? The Journeyman.
The Journeyman.
So,
Yep.
and then even you've seen Taylor Venz, who was there. Taylor Venz was, fourth last year at NCAAs. I mean, he had a match that he won 6-5, and it was, Mason Reinhardt got 2 takedowns, but Venz got 1 reversal right to his back, and that was the match. Mike Labriola, he had a really tough match on Sunday, and then he got beat on Friday by Ryan Christensen. And so, man, a lot of these guys who were supposed to be breakout stars for them, really, besides Tyler Berger, a lot of their supposedly breakout stars are struggling right now. So I'm probably too early to say anything. We'll watch and see how that develops. Give them some more time, and I think that's probably fair. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think you can still say, I mean, we're 3 weeks into the season now, but to your point, it's not just one individual. It's a collection of individuals. And that collection seems like the framework of their most talented guys, right? So
yeah.
I think it does beg the question that you have to look at it. But yeah, I mean, we're still in November. I'm sure Coach Manning isn't sweating it too much. Obviously, there's going to be some concern. There's some things that they have to turn around. Let's actually, I think a good thing to do would probably revisit this after Cliff Keen, after Las Vegas.
Yep, Cliff Keen's that's the biggest, probably the third toughest of the season and the biggest preseason, if you will, tournament.
Yeah, so I think if we see Nebraska struggling a little bit out at Las Vegas, maybe then we can maybe point to some things or ask some more directed questions about what's going on. But I think it's too early on. Let's give it a little bit more time, see how it plays out.
Oh, sorry.
But also,
I think that he lost to Isaiah White lost to Eben Jarrell of Drexel. That's who I was looking for that result. And that's the one I was meant to mention.
Yeah, and Chad had a strange loss as well, right? So it's not that they're just
the UVU kid.
So
he lost to Sammy Krivas too. So that's a couple. Yeah,
and Krivas isn't bad, but I mean they've kind of. It's not that they've lost. They've had some head scratching losses, right? That makes you have these questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, we got to give Chris Bono and staff some credit. I mean, they're coming out. They're coming out hot. They got to be feeling pretty good about themselves.
Yep. And I was there for both their duels yesterday. They wrestled Princeton and UVU, both really tight duels. So their 125-pounder Connor Brown got hurt against Nebraska on Friday night. He got ankle twist or something, and so he was out. So we were forfeiting 125. And actually, I was disappointed because I was wanting to see Patrick Loy wrestle in person. I did not get to see that. And then they also had their 197 Hunter Ritter. He quit, so that's kind of a weak spot for them right now. So they're giving up a whole bunch of points, but they wrestled what I thought was really well. A lot of late wins. They're in shape. They're wrestling hard, and it was kind of capped off. Trent Hillier, the heavyweight for Wisconsin, who's having a good start. He got thrown to his back, and he was down 6-0 against the 13th ranked guy in the country. And he came back and tied it up 7-7, sent to overtime, and got the takedown in overtime to win the match. So that was, they went 2-0 on Sunday also. So they're 4-0 on the season. That was an awesome win by Trent Hillier. And I know there's a lot of excitement behind this Wisconsin program right now.
I mean, Hilger's got to be knocking on the door to top 10, right? Or somewhere around there. Definitely top 10.
Probably like 11, 12, 13, I think would be a good guess for him right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he got a good win against Buffalo to open the season, and then followed that up, this weekend. He
won some open. I can't recall which open. He won an open also. So yeah, he's having a really good start to the season. And it's looking like, he's probably I'd say like 12 or 13. I don't know if they'll put him in the top 10 yet. But I think the Badgers are excited. Obviously a few issues they got to take care of. And they got the next weekend off. And then, Southern Illinois is doing a little dual. It's not a dual tournament. It's one of the ones like they do at the Journeyman.
Where they do like pools?
Yes,
guys?
Exactly. And so you can bring more than your 10. And so I know a whole handful of teams are, I'm going to look it up right now, which teams are going to that instead of going to Vegas because they can bring more than their starting 10, which I know for Wisconsin, they got a bunch of guys that they're trying to get in the mix and work into the lineup. So that's all, and obviously if I was a D1 coach, I want to get those, I don't call them second string or backup guys. I want to get them good matches also.
Yeah. Cause I mean, a lot of these guys, especially the Big Ten, you know that guys at a certain point, you're not going to be able to put all 10 guys out there just because you're going to get some nicks, you're going to get some dings. So you kind of want to know what you have in your number 2 and 3 guys, because if and when somebody goes down, it's not just enough to send a guy out there in the Big Ten. Like you got to send out a guy that's not only going to compete, but you feel strongly has a good possibility to win for you.
Yeah, and the other thing there, Matt, is that, if you can get these guys matches against D1 guys, if one of your starters gets hurt, then your backup has some matches that count towards the RPI, that count towards the winning percentage, that could possibly get them in the rankings, because they're going to need to earn that qualifying spot for themselves, because it's not just like the starter gets it; it's who's ever in the lineup at the time. So I found the it's Arizona State, Army, Chattanooga, Cleveland State, Kent State, and Wisconsin.
So that's a good cross section of talent there.
Yeah, should be some real good matches. So that'd be a nice tournament. I won't get to go watch that, but I'll be watching that online somewhere, I'm sure. So actually, we mentioned Arizona State there, and I want to. We kind of mentioned Nebraska, maybe not developing talent, and I want to. I don't know if I just want to talk about this. I don't know that I have an answer or a strong feeling one direction or the other. But Arizona State, they dropped 2 duels this weekend. They lost to North Carolina, and I watched North Carolina 2 weekends ago when I was in Tennessee, and they were so good, but I wasn't overly impressed. I was like, oh my God, these guys are going to kill it this year. So Arizona State loses to North Carolina, and they lose to Ohio State. And Ohio State didn't have Miles Martin or Colin Moore because they were at the U23 World Championships. And is this one of those things where, Zeke, it's been 4 years since he had that really good number 1 recruiting class? Are they going to, is this the year they're really going to get over the hump? What do you think?
Well, I think that's where this year's really critical, right? I mean, they signed that class 4 years ago, so that class is now 3 years into the system, plugged in as far as,
Yes.
And most likely a lot of those guys redshirted. So, so most of that first class is either from an eligibility standpoint, a true junior or a redshirt sophomore. So I think this is the year where you want to see them jump, and you want to see actually, their development. And I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago about the recruiting classes, and we were talking about who would you rank and who would you think would have the advantage, moving forward. And I said I would give the edge to Cornell and Ohio State because those are culturally established programs, right?
Absolutely.
I think this harkens back to
that was good, Matt. You quoted yourself word for word. That was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that's probably what you're looking to see from Zeke's guys. He's seeking this year, in years probably 4 through 6, 7, to really establish Arizona State on a cultural level, of cultural expectation level. Like, if you get into our lineup, this is the cultural expectation based on a sample size of 5 or 6 years. And I think
so. I just looked at them. They were not in the top 25 3 years ago. They were 14th 2 years ago, and they were 10th last year. So they're kind of, to what you're saying, that they are knocking on that door. Now it's just, are they going to kick the door down and get in that top 10 and get in the top mix or not?
Yeah, and I think there's a different conversation there between getting in the top 10 and then cracking into the top 5. Yeah, because I think there's so many people. I laugh all the time when these these hiring processes go on, and I laugh when every program that comes available, they said this should be a top 10 program, this should be a top 5 program, this should be this and that, right? Like it's that easy.
Well, there can only be 5 of them.
Exactly.
Or 10 of them, right?
And so people were like, right away when Zeke got hired, they're like, oh, Arizona State should be a top 5 program year in and year out. And I'm like, wait, hold on, pump the brakes just a little bit. I was like, let's give him, 5-6 years to consistently be in the top 10 before we put them in the conversation of getting a team trophy, because that's much harder said than done. And so I think what you're probably looking from Arizona State over the course of the next years, can they consistently place themselves in the top 10? They did it last year. Can they do it again this year and do it again the following year? And then I think it's a logical discussion to say, then can they crack into the top 5 and actually capture a team trophy?
Yeah.
So to your point, I think as you're trying to get yourself culturally established, you're still going to have those losses where you kind of scratch their head, and like dropping 2 this weekend, 2 really good teams. But like you said, I think with UNC, you see where a team can jump very quickly over the course of 2 weeks, right? Early in the college season, where at sometimes, say, Nebraska, maybe it's taking them the entire month of November to hit their groove.
Yes.
Again, we don't know what's going on, but when you lose to UNC and then you lose to Ohio State and they have 2 of their top 4 or 5 guys in their team out of the lineup, I get where you could maybe look at it or have a discussion about it.
So, I mean, with Arizona State, a couple of things that I'm noticing. And again, I'm an outsider. I obviously have friends on the coaching staff, but I don't ask them for inside information or anything like that. To their credit, they are redshirting Tanner Hall, right, who would be a big addition. So I think, from what it looks like, they're trying to make a big push next year. They had a good recruiting class this year, so those guys will be redshirting. Next year, Zahid's going to be a senior. Anthony Valencia is going to be a senior. Tanner Hall will be a senior. And so they'll have a lot of those guys. For me, one of the things I watch is development, Matt. Obviously, Anthony Valencia hasn't fulfilled the potential that we thought he was going to. Ryan Milhoff, another guy who was really good at Oklahoma, transferred. We thought he was going to be great. He never really developed. And so when I'm watching them with some of these guys that are they're just not developing all the way into really superstars, that's where I start saying, like, well, can they, if you look at, we'll pick a North Carolina State or a Missouri, 2 of the teams that have went from total outsiders to, Missouri's now been a consistent top 10 program for the last decade. And NC State is sure looking like they're going to be now. They've been for 3 or 4 years. One of the things when you look at those type of programs, what do they do? One of the things they do well is they make kids who aren't very good really good. They make a Mike Machiavello from from a walk-on to a national champion. Missouri makes Mark Ellis from a walk-on to a national champion. Nick Marable from a walk-on to a 3rd place at the NCAAs. And so,
and they don't just do it they don't take the course of 5 years to do this.
Yeah.
They develop them in a relatively short period of time. By the time they're done with their redshirt year, those guys, they typically come in and make a splash right away.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys.
Absolutely. And so, when I look at and we talked about this because we did a recruiting episode, 3 episodes ago. Matt, you're not going to nail it. You could have 5 number ones. Your 5 number ones aren't going to stay 5 number ones. 2 of them are going to fail out of school. One of them's going to be up and down. 2 of them are good if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, one of them might be good. And so, with development, you have to be able to develop kids, because if you're only relying on the kids that you recruit to be good, to stay good, it's just not going to work. And so we talk about Missouri. We talk about, obviously, Penn State. We talk about the development from taking good guys to next freaking level like no one's ever done in the history of wrestling. And so I think that's when we look at Arizona State, is like, are they going to develop these next level talents? Yeah, sure, they've done it with Zahid. That's one guy. But now, we need that Ryan Milhoff to make that development to the next level, or, Anthony Valencia or that type of guy. I think it's going to be that. Can they do that? Because they're always going to be able to, there's things that Arizona State that has that nobody else has in college wrestling. So they're always going to get some of the good guys that want the nice weather, that want the hot chicks, that want the good freestyle program. You're going to get those guys. It's now, can you develop that consistent base of next level kids who, when one of your superstars doesn't pan out, that you have someone else to fill in the lineup?
And I would say development is a two-way street, Ben.
Yeah,
I think a lot of times we just put the onus on the coach. Like,
well,
hey, what's Zeke doing with these guys? But no, just hear me out there.
Okay.
I think that comes also in recruiting. Like, are you recruiting guys that want to get developed and want to get better, or do they want to go out to a nice warm place and chase hot chicks? Right.
Well, I think you could do both. I mean, if you're a multitasker, you can do both of those probably.
Yeah. Right. But I'm just saying, a lot of times,
yeah, I got you.
Coaches, they get a bad rap because they're not developing talent. Well, maybe, and this is their fault as well, they're not recruiting guys that want to get developed.
Yeah. No, it's a good point.
And yeah.
No, I totally agree with you there. So I think this next 2 years is make or break for Arizona State. If they don't do something good in the next 2 years, I think a lot of people are going to be kind of looking at them like, man, are you guys ever going to get it done? I mean, that initial recruiting class they had was insane. They have a really good one this year. They got a really good one coming in next year. So I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on them in the next 2 years to see if they can get it done or not.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
So last one I want to talk about, and we don't have to get super deep into this, but Mizzou looked great against Virginia Tech. I wanted to give them a lot of credit for beating. I think they beat them 23-8 or something like that. But then Northwestern went and got the upset of Virginia Tech on Sunday. So shout out to Northwestern as well. That's Coach Storniola's in his second year or third year?
I think Matthew's going into his third year, but obviously huge win, because that's a program. Typically, they've had a lot of good individual success, which has translated into good team placement success at the NCAA tournament. But typically, I mean, there's a lot of restrictions that Northwestern has to work through with their admission standards and their roster cap. And so it's very difficult for those guys to field a good dual meet team. So for them to knock off Virginia Tech.
Because Virginia Tech was, I think, 8th or 9th maybe ranked, something like that.
Yep. 8th or 9th was a huge win for Northwestern. I would like to say the shoes have a little bit to do with it. They're actually one of the programs in the RUDIS shoe.
Are they really? I didn't get to watch that dual meet. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, if they're not winning, at least they'll be comfortable and they'll look good.
Yep.
That counts for anything. I remember when I went to Arizona State, Matt, because I coached there for 2 years, the culture was so bad. The kids, they were really good kids, but it was like, they were sitting in the stands. I remember the first year they all got their ass kicked in Vegas. I think we might have had one place or maybe two, not very many. And all they could talk about was how cool the Ohio State singlets were because they had their name on them. And I was thinking like, I can't stand this. This needs to change. Like, who cares what their singlet looks like? We're sitting in the stands and they're wrestling in the finals. Who cares?
Yeah,
I don't care what my singlet says as long as I'm in the finals. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, but I guess if Northwestern, hey, if they're not winning, at least they're looking good and they're comfortable, which matters to some.
But they're doing both. They're looking good and they're winning based on this weekend's results. And I think they have a handful of individuals that I'm really excited to see how they compete this year. And I think, based on that dual meet results, they should be pretty optimistic looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, Matt, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving with your family, and we will catch up next week.
All right, Ben. Have a good one.